The Battle of Tayacoba, June 30, 1898, was a disastrous American effort to land supplies and reinforcements to Cuban rebels fighting for their independence in the Spanish-American War. Background: on June 25, the steamers US Fanita and US Florida, accompanied by the gunboat US Peoria, left Key West carrying a cargo of troops, ammunition, supplies and arms, to aid Cuban insurgents under the command of Maximo Gomez. On board were 650 Cubans under General Emilio Núñez, 50 troopers of the 10th U.S. Cavalry under 1st Lieutenant Carter P. Johnson and 2nd Lieutenant George P. Ahern, and 25 Rough Riders under Captain Winthrop Astor Chandler, brother of Captain William Astor Chandler. The first attempt to land took place on June 29 near the port of Cienfuegos, at the mouth of the San Juan River. However, as a result of a prior assault on May 11, the position was too heavily defended to effect a landing. The American force then sailed about 40 miles east along the south coast of Cuba, to a point near the town of Trinidad. On June 30, a landing party went ashore on a beachhead just west of Tunis de Zarza, near the mouth of the Tayacoba River. Battle. 4 miles west of the town, at the mouth of the river, stood a large fort built of railroad iron, surrounded by earthworks and defended by about 100 Spanish regulars. The Peoria fired several shots with her 3-pounders into the fort, but there was no response. Before dropping off mules, men, and materiel, a party of 30 Cubans and Americans led by Captain José Manuel Núñez and including Winthrop Chandler and Dr. William Lewis Abbott, went ashore to ensure the safety of the landing site, about 500 yards east of the fort. Rowing onto the beach, the force crept into the jungle but was discovered by Spanish scouts and came under heavy fire, unable to retaliate or even protect themselves. The Americans retreated onto the beach only to find that their boats had been sunk by Spanish cannon fire. Captain Núñez died of a gunshot wound to the head, Chandler was shot in the elbow, and Abbott was shot through the right shoulder. 5 Cuban soldiers were also wounded. The party took cover in a mangrove swamp and one of them, a German surgeon named Drive Maximilian Lund, swam out to the Peoria to report that survivors on the beach were in need of assistance. Rescue. The Peoria continued firing at the Spanish troops, who were hidden behind a grove of coconut palms. On the Florida, Lieutenant Johnson began organizing rescue attempts. The first 4 were dispersed by heavy enemy fire and forced to retreat, but the 5th, operating under cover of darkness and crewed by 4 men of the U.S. 10th Cavalry under the command of Lieutenant Ahern, successfully located the Cuban survivors. The body of Captain Núñez was left on the beach. Just before sunrise, a second boat manned by Lieutenant Ahern and war correspondent Grover Flint located Chandler and Abbott. Once they were safely aboard, the Florida promptly left the bay. Aftermath. On the afternoon of July 2, the Peoria returned to the mouth of the Tayacoba River accompanied by the US Helena and shelled the fort for 30 minutes, damaging the fort and the earthworks. The force then proceeded east to Palo Alto where the troops and supplies disembarked on July 3. On June 23, 1899, 4 of the 5 rescuers, Sergeant William H. Tompkins, Corporal George H. Wanton, Trooper Dennis Bell, and Trooper Fitz Lee, all of the 10th U.S. Cavalry, were awarded Medals of Honor for their heroism. Winthrop Chandler returned to his home in Barrytown, New York to recover from his injuries. He returned briefly to military service as a captain in the American Expeditionary Forces during World War I. William Lewis Abbott recovered from his wound and returned to his previous occupation as an ornithologist.